Hi guys, this is Bobby from Friction CrossFit with Mike Carr, and we're going to go through our third installment of how to move better, improve your mobility, and improve your strength to be in better positions. So today's installment is going to be talking about carrying objects or going through some odd objects. So we're going to go through the common ones, and we're going to start with carrying a backpack. So I have Mike just face that way, carrying a backpack. And right now we're just working with a gym bag. So when he's got this slung over one shoulder, this isn't actually a bad position, but what we have to be careful of is that he isn't dropping one shoulder. It's going to cause him to tilt his hips. So we're carrying a purse or a gym bag on one shoulder. We have to make sure that we're engaging our core, making sure our hips are even. The other one that we'll see all the time when carrying a gym bag or an object with a strap is to cross the shoulder. This one's probably quite a bit worse. So again, we want to make sure that we're upright, with the stomach, and then probably one of the better options is to take it off and grab the handles and carry it like so, because it'll be a little bit easier to stay in an upright position, and it's easier not to get lazy from that spot. Go ahead and set that down. We don't have a backpack with us because we're in a gym, but if Mike faces this way, we can simulate a backpack. So most people carrying a backpack will have their arms up, and our trouble spots are kyphosis, which is going to be rounding the upper back when you're carrying a bag. And the opposite would be lordosis. We'll just kind of do the opposite and round or extend their lumbar spine. So when we're carrying a backpack, we just want to make sure that if we're holding our handles, that we're keeping a little bit of tension in our upper back, and we have some tension in our abdomen, staying neutral in our spine. Other odd objects, carrying children. A lot of you mothers out there, if you're carrying a baby, you want to make sure that, simulate a baby Mike, but you want to make sure that you're not tilting your hip and dropping your shoulder, because most of you will find yourself in this position. From there, you can also go into reaching for an object to carry it. If you're going towards an object, you want to basically get to picking things up correctly with mechanics such as the deadlift, which we address quite often. So other odd objects would just be like taking something overhead and carrying it overhead. Again, the same rules are going to apply. I want to make sure that I'm holding a single object overhead or any position overhead. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my midline straight. Mike rotates for me. I want to make sure that he's not extended here and broken in his midline. So keep tension in his abdomen. And then since it is with one object, I want to make sure that he's not tweaking his hips. So staying nice and neutral, keeping the glutes and abdomen engaged is important when carrying any object. And that's kind of our basic rule overhead to even a greater extent. So a few things to kind of reset that mobility-wise. I'm going to have Mike lay on the ground here, push that back aside. We're going to work with just a softball as our mobility piece, and we're going to have Mike place that softball right on the top of his glute, and he's going to lay on his back, and he's just going to work from his glute to his TFL and kind of free up some of that tissue that might get tight if he's been carrying an object for a long time or a very heavy object. So he'll work from here, and he's going to trace all the way across, and he's going very slowly with this and kind of like gravity do some of the work and sink into that ball to free up some of that tissue. The next area is going to be the QL. So he's going to take that softball again. He's going to go just above his iliac crest of his pelvis into his lower back. For this one, he's going to keep his stomach tight, lift his knees up, keep his heels close to his hip. And you're just going to knead side to side into that QL. You're carrying an object, you're going to take pain in the lower back. Sometimes that QL is the cause of that. Our next one he's going to use a lacrosse ball for, and we're going to work on the psoas, which is a deep trunk muscle that can be afflicted from carrying objects in an odd way. So for this one, he's going to start at the belly button, and he's going to work to his side about 2 inches. He's going to use one hand to put pressure on, and the other hand's going to direct that pressure downward towards his pelvis. He's just going to knead into that deep trunk muscle. While he's doing that, he's going to take a big breath into his chest and pulling his belly button to his spine. That's going to give him a little bit less tissue to work through, and When he finds that spot after working into it, he's going to work with a little bit of hip flexion where he'll draw his knee up to his chest and then push it straight out. That's just going to get that tissue to glide underneath the ball. Our next option here is taking care of the shoulders that are going to take on the brunt of the load when we're carrying objects, especially a backpack. For this one, we're just going to use a post. So Mike, come up. That first rib is going to be located just above the scapula, and there's a ton of fascia that runs through here that can get bound up. So Mike's going to take his lacrosse ball and he's going to pin it right in this spot. He's going to set into the side of this post and pressure into that. So once he gets set up here, he's just going to drive in with his legs, lean into the post. I want him to take his right arm, and he's just going to bring it to the overhead position. And that's really going to put a lot of pressure into that tissue, kind of soften up that first rib, allow it to depress so he can clear his overhead position. Our last one is going to be the scalenes muscle, which is going to be a few inches out from that clavicular notch. And you feel it quite a bit, just add a little bit of pressure. But what I want Mike to do is put his arm into internal rotation, and then he's just going to use his other arm to kind of massage this muscle, and he'll turn his head away, and it'll be pretty stiff through there. So, done a lot of carrying, or been loaded up with a backpack, or had a gym bag slung over one shoulder. That's one good way to take care of some of that tissue. And the last one is a pec minor mobilization. For the pec minor, it's going to be located between the deltoid and that big chest muscle. We're going to work right along here, and I'm going to have Mike use that lacrosse ball. A softball will work good for this as well. But he's just going to lay on the ground, and he's just going to rock back and forth with his shoulder. And again, we want that arm put behind the back. He's just going to need forward and backward, putting a little bit of pressure into the shoulder. And that's all we need for mobility. So strength-wise, two things we're going to work on strengthening. We're going to start on the glutes. So we're going to work with our most basic movements, or simplest. We're going to have Mike lay on his back, and we're going to go through the lying glute series. So for this one, we'll start out with 10 repetitions on a double leg hip thruster, where Mike will just keep his stomach tight and drive his hips up. Put 10 reps there. After that, we'll lift one leg up and do it with each individual leg. So hit a rep here, go through about 10 there, and then attack the other one. Now after that, we're going to go through some isometric movements. So he'll get to the finished position of that single leg hip thruster, and he's going to work on extending this leg up in a very rapid manner so that right hip has to stabilize that extended position. After that, he'll work side to side for 10 reps, and now it's working to stabilize that hip while it's moving laterally. And the last one is just to work in a circle, 10 repetitions, and then switch to the opposite direction. After this, I'm going to have Mike set up in a side plank. So he's going to roll over to his side and get on an elbow and then lift his hips up. So this is going to work on his obliques, muscles on the sides. It'll also work on glute med, TFL. But if you find yourself in a position where you've been carrying an object, you might have weakness in one or several of those muscles. The scaling option for this is just to go off of the hand if that's too challenging. And that'll look like this. I'm showing that option. Good. Come on up to your feet. And then one way to practice carrying is to pick a heavy object. We happen to have kettlebells available. So Mike, if you grab these kettlebells and stand up, form proper deadlift, and walking with a couple kettlebells, go ahead. And it's as simple as that. What we want to focus on is just keeping our midline engaged and keeping our chest nice and tall with some tension in our traps and in our rotators. So that's a farmer carry. It works really well, but what's even going to be more effective, especially if I found myself with a little bit of lateral tilt in my day-to-day life or just carrying objects, is a suitcase carry. So it's going to be identical to a farmer carry, but with this one, I'm going to walk forward for a few steps, but Mike's going to work really hard at not allowing his hips to shift at all and staying really square. So his obliques on his right side are going to be working really hard, and then his traps on this side will be working hard to keep his shoulders square. And our next set of movements are just going to be for the upper body. So we'll work with just a kettlebell to isolate one side at a time. So the first one is just going to be a single arm shrug with a kettlebell. So again, we're going to keep our shoulders square, and he's just going to elevate one shoulder and come right back down. As simple as that. The next one is going to be an overhead press. So Michael, just press it overhead. We're looking at a couple things here. The overhead position is going to be most challenging. So when he presses overhead, is he keeping his midline engaged? Meaning he's not going to be getting into extension where he's extending his back. So he has to keep his abdomen tight throughout that overhead press. We go ahead and face the camera, Mike. The other thing we want to look at is he tilting his hips to compensate for that heavy kettlebell? And again, keeping the shoulders square. Our last one is going to be a kettlebell row. So if you face that way, Mike, you're going to show up from the standing position. Mike's going to set one hand on his elbow, and the other hand's going to be hanging straight down. Now, we want to make sure that our back is nice and straight. And let's switch arms really quick so we can see the action on here. So he's going to make sure his back is level throughout the movement. He's going to make sure that his pelvis is level throughout the movement. And he's going to pull that right up to his ribs and extend all the way back down. In no time during this movement, if you can face that camera, Mike, should his shoulders rotate, so show a 4-1, where he's using his spinal erectors, and at no point should his pelvis rotate either. So that one would be kind of hard to show. So those are our strength movements to kind of get back that position and restore any imbalances. And you guys stay tuned for our next installment, talking about standing for long periods of time, things to avoid. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.